Would you be surprised to know that some of the most successful women of our time face challenges just like you and I do?
Hi, I'm Amber.
And I'm Lisa. We're authors of the book Leading Ladies. Discover your God-grown strategy for success.
We invite you to join us in an honest, messy bun conversation about the things we'd rather keep hidden in our lives.
Some of those things can keep us from moving forward in purpose.
So grab a cup of something delicious, kick off your shoes, and hang out with us for the next 30 minutes. Good morning and welcome to another Coffee Chat with Amber and Lisa. And we are so happy to have a dear friend, an amazing award-winning author on the podcast today, Tracy Hester Glass.
We're so excited to have you with us. For those of you that don't know, Tracy is one of our contributors in the book. Tracy officially gave us chapter 2. She is one of the first chapters that we edited. Her chapter is entitled Stop Waiting for Permission. We are happy to talk about that. She has a book titled Get Up Girl, Let's Go, Getting Unstuck and Living Free. And the book is under Tracy Hester. She's also a newlywed.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, so, lots of stuff going on.
Tracy, you're a busy lady. Tell us a little bit just about your inspiration for that book.
Actually, Lisa, my inspiration came because I was walking through a divorce. After 24 years of being married. I had gotten to the point where I was on the other side of getting healed, and I just felt like there are so many women that are walking through a divorce and just need hope. And so it came from that inspiration that I was ready to tell my story. And I guess that was my first step in leading bold, is being comfortable with talking about the D, which is the divorce. I think that if you've walked through a divorce, there can be a lot of embarrassment and shame, and you don't really want to talk about it. You just want to sweep it under the carpet and say, okay, can this just go away? So it was out of obedience. I felt like the Lord was saying, you need to get this out. It needs to help people. And it was healing for myself to begin to write about it. I had gone through an amazing healing journey. Oftentimes there's still residue that's left over as we go through a healing journey. And there still is. As when we have trauma in our life, it is a process that we go through. And it was all of that combined, Lisa, why I wrote the book. I didn't think that the book was going to have the impact that it is having right now. Because honestly, I'm a new writer. This writing game came to me later in life. I'm not the girl that could say, oh, I was always journaling in my diary and always dream about releasing the book. No, that's not me. It was a gift later on that I think came out of desperation that I wanted to heal. And at the time, I still am the mentoring director at my church. And so I was mentoring women. I was asking the Lord, what are the keys, God, for women to really be set free in life and to live the victorious and abundant life that's promised in Scripture? And so I felt like writing that book was a step to help them.
I remember when you said, actually, at the beginning of this, that you went into this whole process thinking, I'm not even a writer, I'm a speaker.
Right.
I don't want to write a book. But Tracy actually was the first one to finish a chapter in this book because I was on the phone with her talking about Get Up Girl, Let's Go. We were working on that cover project, and I started talking to her about the idea of leading without permission. And so she wrote that chapter, and it released some things in me that made me be able to tell my story. And I think that's one of the powerful things of telling our stories, that it makes it that we release people to tell their stories and live in transparency and vulnerability and get those old things that are dragging along like a dead horse off of us.
Yeah.
And one of those things that you said, a lady came to you and she saw that you were holding something back. Is it because of shame, or is it because you don't want to shine too bright? So paradox let me pull some things apart in my story and say, okay, I'm going to be real honest. Let's be honest. And I was if I was transparent enough to walk through it, let's be transparent enough to use that to help some people. And so I was so thankful because that just didn't even only help the book, it helped me. And that's the power of transformation, and that's the power of vulnerability. But Tracy, tell me, before you walked out and before you walked into divorce, were you already in ministry?
I was. Yeah, we were both in ministry. And I think that's what made it more shameful, right? That we should know better, right? We should be able to figure this out. And and so I felt when it happened that I was now disqualified, divorce, disqualified, right? From serving in any way. And so I took a step back. And at the time it wasn't negative. I took a step back to heal, because we can only lead out of our own deliverance and our own healing in life. I can't mentor anybody if I'm broken.
What did you, in that process of healing, I know a lot of people turn to a lot of different things. Some people turn to counsel. What steps did you take to heal? What did God lead you to watch your heart come back to a healthy space?
Lisa, honestly, I didn't know the steps initially. So I did what was comfortable, and I was hiding. I was faking it. You know how you have this deep gut pain that's going on. You still need to show up, need to show up for work, need to show up for my kids, need to show up, right? Because only the strong survive. And so I was showing up like I show up, smile on the face, pain. The pain I never dealt with before, emotionally like this. And so one day, my daughter, who had come home that year from college, I came downstairs and she had left me a note on a napkin. And it said, "Mom, I need you to survive." And I realized at that point that I'm not doing a good job of faking it. I'm not doing this right. And so it was at that point that I reached out to someone and I began counseling. And I spent 2 years with a wonderful woman who I consider her my spiritual mentor. And she really helped me see how God sees me, even though I'm walking through this divorce. And how do I come out this as pure gold? How do I still give God glory in the face of chaos? And wow, that was such a valuable time. And so I know that was orchestrated by the Lord for me to go through that process so that I could write a chapter in Leading Ladies, write a book, and do the ministry that I do.
Not only have you written this chapter for us, your own book, you have an established ministry. You are going places and spreading a message to help other women go through this. I just want to make sure that our listeners know Tracy does have a website, tracyhester.com. And can people contact you for things through your website?
Absolutely.
I'm very excited about another project that you are doing. Every once in a while, I will catch videos on social media that Tracy has put out. She is doing a project with her daughter, Courtney. It's called Mommy Issues. Tell me about this project a little bit, because I think this is something many women, mother daughters, even mother sons, it's a little different dynamic, but I'm excited about it.
Okay. My daughter, Courtney, she's amazing. Do you ever, because are you both mothers, right? You both have daughters. Okay. It's like you look at your daughters at their age, and I said, man, I wish I was as wise as she is at her age. And so she's just a real old soul, lots of wisdom. But one thing about my daughter that I admire most about her is she's very courageous. She's so much more courageous than I was. She's so much more bold than I was at her age. And she will be 30 this year. And she just received her doctorate of psychology. And so for the last 5 years or more, because she was in undergrad and then master's and then her doctorate program, she is a psychologist. And so years ago, we had an idea to do mommy issues. And because you don't hear people talking about issues with their moms. You'll hear daddy issues, but you don't hear about mommy issues. And I think that there's this underlining respect that don't talk about my mother. I'm not going to go there with my mother. And so we had the idea. It was on the table because just busyness. She had a baby. I'm doing certain things.
Yeah.
And then 2 years ago, her and her husband came to live with me. They were saving money, one income family. My son-in-law was just working. My daughter was in school, and then she was pregnant. And at the time, she was dealing with some joint pain and she was having some issues. And so she said, Mom, can we come live with you? Sure. They lived with me for 1.5 years. And we noticed that we had some issues.
Together.
The whole issue of mommy issues became alive. Before it was a cute idea. Oh, we should do this. And now it was like, oh, this is real. We really do have some issues, right? That
We
need
can
to
have an
work on.
issue right here and record.
And so we decided, because the original idea was to record it and to help people. But now we said, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so we sat down on a Saturday for about 4 hours and we recorded. And it's some candid conversation of, and talked about the divorce, talked about stuff like, Mom, why didn't you talk about it? Why didn't you help me during that season? And I had to be honest. I couldn't. When you're going through something so traumatic, you go into like survival mode, right? I'm trying to survive. I'm trying to help myself. We can't minister to others if we're drowning. Can't save you if I'm drowning. So those were the type of conversations that we had. And then it's not just that she had issues with me, but the whole point of the podcast too is for daughters and mothers to understand that mommies have issues too. We're not super women. We don't wear capes 24/7. We have blood in our veins and we're human, because at times I think children don't see moms as human. That was the inspiration and why we recorded Mommy Issues.
I think sometimes our tendency is we're going women, we do a couple different things. Either we just like to act like things aren't happening. I'll just deal with it. We kind of martyr. I'll deal with it on my own behind closed doors. I don't want to take anybody with me. Or we take the other turn. We start to worry about everyone else. How can I help them? Oh no, I'll deal with me later. Let me put them first. And all of that kind of ties into, it even goes back to your book, Girl, Get Up, Girl, and Go. Because in all honesty, we keep ourselves in a space to where we're really not stepping into where we need to be, what God's called us to do. We're so busy trying to privately not bring anything on anybody else or take care of everyone else. We don't do the business at hand. What kind of things did you have to do to finally start stepping out in boldness, taking the bull by the horns?
That's a good question, Lisa. I think it started with me understanding my value as a woman. You know, this morning I was reading in Proverbs 31 and verse 18 really jumped out at me. And I couldn't even finish reading the rest of the chapter, because what it said is that she sees her merchandise as good. And I didn't see my merchandise as good. I saw it as damaged. And you're in a singing group, you might sing and you're the background singer. Oh, I could be a good background singer. But God was calling me to lead, take a lead in the band, in my circle of influence. And so it's getting to the point of just saying, yes, God, I will step out, even though I feel insecure, intimidated, and not prepared.
Right.
So really, it was overcoming some insecurities and learning the value of just saying yes to God.
I love that. I love that. She sees her merchandise as good.
She sees it as good.
Because God does not treat our gifts like we're in the bargain basement of we are equal in whatever we have, and we don't see, we're wanting to compare our merchandise with other people's merchandise. Well, they're Dolce & Gabbana and I'm like Walmart special, blue light special. That's not who we serve. And we want to know that all that we have to offer is of value. We all have something very valuable to offer. So
Yeah,
I think that that's
definitely.
so incredible. I'm glad
But
that you brought that verse to our attention today.
and you know what I noticed too, Amber, is that the merchandise that she was referring to was nothing of her outward.
Mm.
It was all her inward, her character, her, how God gifted her and saying, don't put it on display.
Mm.
She was bad. If you read it, stuff she did, man, she was something else.
Mhm.
And I just believe that Proverbs 31 is really a model for us. It's nothing, you know how you say, oh, I want to be a Proverbs 31 woman, or men are saying, oh, I want my wife to be a Proverbs 31 woman. You know what? She's nothing to be intimidated about, saying, oh, no, I can't be her. It's just something for us to grow and see her character and how blessed she was because she knew who she was in God and she was not holding back.
Mm.
She had the ministry to me of duplication and multiplication times 10 of the things that were coming out of her. And I was inspired this morning as I was reading about her that, man, her merchandise was good. And that is what we as women have to begin to see as our merchandise is I'm valuable. I bring something to the table. My voice needs to be heard because God has given me something to say.
We were at the National Religious Broadcasters Conference, and one of the women that were signing their books, and her name escapes me. She's an ASA. I know she's in the Advanced Writers and Speakers Association, wrote a book on the Proverbs 31 woman. And she did it basically speaking from the aspect of what does it mean to be a Proverbs 31 woman. We hear this word virtuous when you think about different translations. And really what the Hebrew word means in there, that word virtuous almost seems like an unattainable thing. And then you read all the things that she does and you're going, oh, I'm not virtuous. I can't do that. But really what that word means is strong.
And wisdom.
Strong.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
it's okay. Some of us have had to learn to be strong. We've been strong at different points in our life, but that seems a little bit more like with God's help, we can do that.
Absolutely.
I want to read a little bit from your book. I have some words that I really appreciate. When we get to the close of your chapter, you talk about how you have God's permission to shine bright. You don't really need anyone else's permission. It's God's permission that counts. And you say, God is compelling us to lead boldly with a fresh perspective, with Jesus' perspective. His goal is to fulfill the will of his Father. So let's not allow the invisible leash of our insecurities, bias, past fears, negative self-talk, or anything else to hold us back from taking bold steps of faith. What is bold leadership? It's doing what God has asked us to do fully. It's asking others to follow us only as we follow Christ. The best leadership is when our goal mirrors Christ's mission to serve others. Everything we do points to Jesus, not building our popularity or social media following, not increasing our bank account, promoting our products or agenda.
Yeah.
I loved that. And I feel like the focus for us as women is sometimes we're so busy promoting others or just busy helping build up everyone else in the kingdom. We stop, we forget our purpose is to build up Jesus and to reflect who he is. And there's stuff he put in you that were specifically placed there with purpose.
Yes.
I love what you said earlier about just being willing to say yes, pushing past the fear, pushing past the insecurities. That's had to be the story in my life. Just say yes to him and embrace what he has for you. I love that.
I know. And you know what, Tracy, one of the other things that really hit me, and I know we're running short on time, to say yes to God is to say no to people sometimes. And to say yes to God is to say yes to our self-care and yes to taking care of the things that need to be taken care of in our own lives. So we can say, I fully say yes to God. How do you deal with disappointing people now? How do you navigate that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Amber, because honestly, it's a work in process because I'm a people pleaser. I want others to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that God is in this season teaching me something about exactly what you just said, is that if I give everything away, then I have nothing left for myself or for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's teaching me to really think about what if what I'm doing really aligns with his will and his plan. Because I'm a person that I could have 30 things going at a time, right? And they're all great things, good things, but they're not necessarily God things.
Wow.
And so I'm learning in this season to put the priority as the God thing and hear God's voice in this season. And honestly, he's teaching me that to say no to some things. I don't like saying no because I feel like, oh, a door. Oh, I should walk through it.
Mm-hmm.
But recently I've had to say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that right now, because it resonates with me immediately that that's not in my wheelhouse. Sometimes we want to do things and it's not part of my message. It's great that you have invited me to this event, but I can't do it because it's not resonating with me. And so it's just that inner voice that we always hear with God speaking to us. For me, it's peace. I'm always led by, do I feel peace?
Yeah.
And even if I disappoint a person, I'm not disappointing God. But I've learned to speak my truth in a way that it speaks life, not death. And God is teaching me how to say things too. It's all in how things are said, right?
Yes.
And it's thank you. I appreciate that. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that right now.
It's okay to say no.
It's okay. I'm learning that.
And there might be someone who's listening today who you want to walk in your dreams, you want to walk in your giftings, but you're going to have to put some things on the table and say, maybe have to go back to some people and say, in this season, God's encouraging me to go towards this way, and I can't do this any longer. And that's a hard conversation to have.
It
is. We need to give ourselves permission to do what God's called us to do and disappoint some people along the way, because I'd rather have that. I'd rather be doing and being fulfilled in what God's called me to do than help and be fulfilling someone else's. Not that we're not called to help. We're just not called to everything that comes our way. And we don't need that distraction.
That you have also the ability to discern, because God is there with you and in you and guiding you. Discern what is for you to pick up and what is for you to put down and walk away from. And once again, that's just like saying no. You don't need permission to do what you feel you were called to do, and to release those things that you feel you're not supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah, because at the end of the day, it is a thing of, I always imagine just standing before Jesus and him saying to me, Tracy, why didn't you do what I asked you to do? And then I'm making up excuses. God, I didn't want to offend, and I didn't want to shine too bright, and I'm not really this and that. And then he just smiles and says, man, because you didn't do what I asked you to do, you're going to miss out on some stuff. And that keeps me focused on how to do the will of the Father, because I love him. I want to please him. And I don't want to miss any open door that he might have for me. I like surprises, and he often surprises me when I take that risk, right? And do it afraid. And wow, it blows my mind what is produced when I say yes.
It's been a great time this morning to get to talk about this. And
I could talk to you guys all day.
I told her before we went live, Amber and I are not very dignified. So we may over one another. We say that all the time, but you just made this a very easy conversation this morning, Tracy. And we're so happy to have your contribution to the book. We believe God is going to use that chapter mightily. We know he already is and has been doing so. We get reports from women all the time about different ways this book has spoke to them. And your chapter is a huge part of how women are seeing how they are able to walk into their gifts differently than prior to reading it. So that whole being stuck situation, you're doing amazing things, and God's using your words to help women work past some difficult things. So thank you. Thank you for this morning.
Thank you for having me, and congratulations on just the success of the book. God is really moving and opening doors, and isn't that amazing?
I don't think Amber and I, either one, expected most of what has been happening. We've just gone, we thought we had a good idea, right, Amber?
Yes. And it's a God thing, and it morphed along the way. And we're so excited that women are connecting with stories, and then they're saying they may not connect with a person's story, but they're like, I know a person who needs to read this. And they're giving it to their friends, and one of the ladies is giving it away. And we're just excited because one of the realizations I said, we thought that this book was just about empowering women to walk in God's call. But I feel like God's going to bring in women into aligning with who He is, just because there's so many amazing stories women who even don't know Jesus can connect with. And it's just a very felt need that I did not even imagine in reaching people with God's love. And that's incredible.
It's obvious. You guys said yes, and look at the impact.
God always blows it up. God blows it up exceedingly what we could ask or imagine if we just show up.
Yeah.
Just have to show up and say yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's exciting, you guys.
We're happy to have you along with us. We're going to be working very diligently on a couple of things that we'll fill you in on here at the end. We are working on an audio version of the book. Hopefully that will come soon and very soon. So, ladies, we hope you have a wonderful week.
You too, and thanks for having me.
In a world that often tries to confine and categorize, best-selling book Leading Ladies, discover your God-grown strategy for success. Celebrates the diverse tapestry of women just like you and their unique journeys of faith. Join Lisa and I as we partner with over 30 women from every hue, age, and walk of life, united by one mission: to let Christ shine through our gifts, wherever we are. Within the pages of Leading Ladies, you'll find a wealth of wisdom, inspiration, and practical guidance. These women share their personal stories, triumphs, failures, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Leading Ladies is more than just a book. It's a movement, a call to action for women of faith to rise up, support one another, and make a difference in the world. Together, let's celebrate the strength, resilience, and faith of leading ladies from every background and be inspired to let Christ shine through your gifts, wherever you may be. Leading Ladies, discover your God-grown strategy for success. Available now wherever books are sold.